welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, I'm Lindsay and I'm so excited to share today's video with you guys. So I actually recently got back from a trip from St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands, and since I've started posting photos from our trip, I've been getting tons of messages on my Instagram about where we stayed, what the travel restrictions were like, what to do there, people wanting to plan their own beach vacations and wanting to know my thoughts on St. Thomas. So the original plan was that I was going to vlog our entire trip, where we stayed, what we did, the beaches we went to, where we ate, everything about our trip. But we ended up having just the time of our lives together on that gorgeous island, spent so much time without our phones and just enjoyed the time together. So didn't get the vlog, but figured I'd do a full recap to answer all the questions that everyone's been asking me. So I'm gonna kind of film this in a couple of different parts. First one, talking about travel restrictions and kind of what it looks like with COVID and the pandemic right now. Second one, about where we stayed and kind of the island as a whole. And then lastly, talk about things to do, restaurants, beaches, things like that. So let's jump right in to talking about what it looks like now in COVID times. So first things first, I just wanted to say I do not have all the answers. I did not read every single blog or website or document about St. Thomas and what the travel restrictions are. And with that being said, I'm sure they are ever changing. So please do your own research before you travel. Do not just watch this video and say, I got it, I'm going based on everything that Lindsay said. Like, please don't do that. Please do your own research. So just wanted to throw that out there. But this is what it was like for us. First, travel restrictions. You had to get a negative COVID test within 5 days of traveling to the island. So I got my test on Monday. I got the rapid nasal swab, tested negative. I made sure to get the printed out piece of paper so that I could take it with me to the island. It did say on their travel website to make sure you bring the hard copy of your test results with you. So I made sure to get that printout, and then I logged onto the travel portal. RJ also got his test results and was also negative. So logged onto the travel portal for both of us and submitted our test results. And then we got a little QR code that said we were approved to travel to St. Thomas. So boarded the plane, wore our masks on the plane, in the airport, normal things if you've traveled at all during the pandemic. It's same thing goes, you have to wear your mask the entire time. So once we got to the island, we deboarded the plane and they had a little station set up where someone was checking your QR code that said you were approved and that you had submitted your test results in their travel portal, as well as someone checking the actual hard copy of your test results. So that was kind of the first precautionary measure that they take. They wanted to make sure that everyone coming onto the island had tested negative for COVID. After that, we continued to wear our masks the entire time, just like we do here in the United States. We wore them in taxis, we wore them when speaking with other people, we wore them into restaurants, if we were ordering drinks at any of the beachside bars, anything like what you've seen here in the States, it was very similar down on the island. So we felt safe the entire time. One question I did get a lot about the COVID test results and when you had to test and whatnot was whether or not you had to test to leave the island and get back into the United States. We did not. We stayed for 3 days, 4 days on the island, and then were able to just re-enter the United States, no problem. So that's one question that I was getting on kind of the travel restrictions there. That is the travel restrictions. Now moving on to the fun things, which is where we stayed and things to do on the island. So when I was researching the island and kind of trying to figure out where I wanted us to stay, I found that there were 3 main options for hotels / resorts that we were probably going to want to stay in. Number one was Margaritaville, the other was Point Pleasant Resort, and the third option was the Ritz-Carlton. Ritz-Carlton, as much as I wanted to stay there, just a little bit too expensive for this trip, so ruled that one out. Margaritaville and Point Pleasant Resort are actually super close together. They're on the north side of the island, and we found through research that that's really where the best beaches were, and it was a convenient spot where we could go take a short taxi to different restaurants as well as go explore some of the other beaches nearby and kind of on different areas of the island. So it was down to Margaritaville and Point Pleasant Resort. Margaritaville, more of a typical hotel resort that you'd see on an island. Point Pleasant Resort was more of like a condo resort kind of VRBO situation. So ended up going with Point Pleasant Resort based on some of the different reviews that I saw on Travel Advisor. That's where I found most of my great reviews for St. Thomas. So ended up going with Point Pleasant Resort, and I was able to select whatever condo unit that I wanted. If you're curious about the exact one I stayed in, I'm happy to share that with you. Just drop it in the comments below. But I absolutely loved it. And I mean, I surprised RJ with it. He had no idea when we walked into the condo and the balcony opened up with this gorgeous view of the ocean. He was just blown away, and as was I. The photos did not do it justice, like whatsoever. So it was super nice just to have our little condo. No one was bothering us. We had a king-size bed, a little living room, a small kitchen, and then we had this gorgeous balcony that overlooked the most beautiful blue ocean that we've ever seen. So that's where we stayed, and I loved the area that we stayed in because it was just a great convenient place where it had easy access to restaurants as well as super easy access to some of the beautiful beaches that we got to go to. So with that being said, I'll jump right into some of the different beaches that we went to and some of the different things that we did while we were on the island. So first things first, we were there for Friday night, Saturday all day, Saturday night, Sunday all day, Sunday night, and then Monday morning, and then our flight left Monday afternoon. So we didn't have a ton of time. So we really wanted to make sure we did things that we absolutely had heard were amazing, and that was super fun, and we wanted to make the most of our trip. So the first thing that we did was go to Megan's Bay, and we went there on Saturday morning. I'll get to the restaurants that we went to later, but skipping ahead to Saturday morning, we went to Megan's Bay, and we've heard that this beach is gorgeous. If you look on all different websites, Megan's Bay is the top 10 beach in the world, and wow, it did not disappoint whatsoever. We had a gorgeous blue sunny day, and we got there pretty early. We woke up around 7:38 and we're at the beach by 9:30, and so we were one of the first people there. We did bring our own chairs and our own towels and just kind of set up camp. We walked all along the beach, all the way down to one end and then all the way back to the other end, and the water was so blue, so clear. The sand was so soft and white. I mean, absolutely just a stunning beach overall. And the fun part about the beaches in St. Thomas is that they usually have a cute little beachside restaurant and bar where you can grab food and drinks, and then you can actually take those food and drinks and go back to wherever you set up camp on the beach and enjoy them while you're sitting on the beach, which was so nice. And we just spent the entire day there. We were there for 6 hours and it was just so amazing. Absolutely recommend Megan's Bay as a beach that is a must see on St. Thomas. So that was Saturday during the day, and then we had dinner reservations Saturday night. Like I said, I'll get to restaurants in a second, but Sunday we heard from one of our waiters that Water Island was a fun island to go to on Sunday, a little Sunday fun day action. And so we took a little ferry over to Water Island because it was about 10 minutes away from actual St. Thomas, so it's a totally separate island. So we took a little ferry over there and sat on Honeymoon Beach. Sadly, on Sunday, it started raining a little bit, so couldn't spend a lot of time on the actual beach. But again, there was a cute little beachside bar and restaurant called Dingy's. And so we spent most of the afternoon hanging out at Dingy's. And yes, it was pouring down rain on and off, but had lots of good food and drinks. And it was so fun to people watch there. It was such an amusing time to get to see all the different people who were visiting, and it was just it was a good time. All right, now we're already to Monday during the morning, and so our flight was at 3:30 in the afternoon. So we had our car coming to pick us up at about 12. And so we had a couple hours in the morning to go explore one last beach. And so we ended up going to Cove Beach, which is a beach that was super close by to our resort. It was a 5-minute taxi away. And it was the perfect beach to kind of end our little vacation on. It was stunning. This little beach was gorgeous. I think that beach had the most clear and turquoise blue waters out of all three of the beaches. Like Megan's Bay was definitely a close runner-up, but seriously, Cove Beach was adorable. It was a lot smaller, definitely had a couple more people kind of like offering you jewelry and like hair braiding and kind of like the typical beachside concessions that you would think of. But it also had a great little beachside bar and restaurant that you could grab drinks at. And it was just such a gorgeous beach. And again, we got there earlier, which I think was so key. So we just laid down our towels, got some sun, got some last minute time in the ocean, enjoying the beautiful views and the beautiful water. And so that was honestly one of my favorite beaches. Probably if I had to rank them, Megan's Bay, Cove Beach, and then the Water Island Honeymoon Beach. But I mean, overall, the beaches were all gorgeous. There are so many more that I want to go see. Like RJ and I were talking when we were getting on the plane that we wish we could have stayed longer and wish we could have seen more beaches, because I've heard that Sapphire Beach is gorgeous. I've heard that going to St. John is amazing. So that's another island right off of St. Thomas. So many more things that we could have done if we would have had a little bit more time. But in the 3 days that we had, I think hitting up 3 beaches, 1 each day, was the perfect way to spend our time. And then rolling into what we did in the evenings. So we arrived and got in around 3:34. By the time we got our taxi and got over to our resort, we really only had about 2 hours until dinner reservations, and we ended up eating dinner on our resort property. They had a beautiful restaurant that had a nice little outdoor patio and overlooked the ocean, and it was stunning. And we were honestly not sure what to expect. It got good reviews online, but you never know. So I was so pleasantly surprised when the cocktails were fantastic, the wine was delicious, our server was amazing, and then the food was just so fresh and delicious. I had fish, and I think RJ had lamb, if I remember correctly. And I love fish. I've grown up loving seafood, and the seafood in the Caribbean did not disappoint. Like, it is so good and so well prepared. So that was dinner the first night. As far as breakfast, lunch, we typically just had like a brunch at these beachside restaurants and bars. So didn't really worry about getting things for like breakfast in the morning. We're also not big breakfast people, so that's that for us. But yeah, we usually kind of just skipped to lunch and had like chicken tenders or quesadillas, kind of more like American beachside food, if you will. Nothing crazy out of the ordinary. And then dinner on Saturday night, we went to Caribbean Fish Market, and that was in this little area called Red Hook that I talked about before, where there's some different restaurants and bars. And so went to Caribbean Fish Market. That was RJ's birthday celebration dinner, and the food there was again spectacular. And I definitely made reservations before we left. So I made the reservations for Caribbean Fish Market and the first restaurant that we went to, Mirador, about a week in advance. And then on Sunday night, we went to a different restaurant that actually one of our cab drivers suggested to us, and we made those reservations as soon as we got in. So we had those reservations for like 2 days in advance. But back to Caribbean Fish Market, absolutely incredible. We sat out on their little patio, had a beautiful view of the beach, the palm trees. I'll be sure to put the picture up here that I took. And again, their cocktails were fantastic. We had some champagne. It was amazing. And all of the food was fantastic. We had, again, super fresh fish, had great appetizers, and the food was just amazing. Now, one question I got on Instagram was, is the food expensive? And yeah, it wasn't cheap. But it was like any kind of typical seafood steakhouse restaurant that you would expect to see in the States. It was very similar pricing to that. Nothing like way blowing the budget, but it definitely was not like inexpensive, if that makes sense. So that's what we did on Saturday during the night. And then we ended up going to a little bar afterwards. We were planning on going home because we were pretty tired, but then we got in a taxi and we were sharing it with some people, and they were pretty rowdy and having a good time. So we just went along with it and ended up going out and had the best time at this like cute little dive bar that we found in Red Hook. It was maybe 3 minutes away from the restaurant that we were at, and just had the best time drinking and spending time together, and it was so fun to people watch there. There were some very funny characters to watch at that little bar. So that was a fun night overall. And then Sunday, kind of the same thing as Saturday, when we went to Water Island, there was a little beachside restaurant, so got some food and drinks there during the day. And then in the evening time, we went to a restaurant called Exo Bistro that one of our cab drivers had suggested to us and said it was super good. So we got a great reservation there. And again, the food was amazing. Fresh fish, great appetizers. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about any of the food that we had or the drinks that we had while we were on the island. Everything was so good. Those are my suggestions for food and drinks and beaches and what to do. Okay, one last big thing to note is getting around St. Thomas. So we didn't rent a car, mainly because they drive on the opposite side of the road in St. Thomas. Steering wheel is still on the same side as it is in the States, but they drive on the opposite side of the road. So that was not happening, number one. Also, you know, we knew we were gonna be drinking, having a good time, didn't wanna have a liability of a car. So we ended up just taking taxis everywhere, and that totally worked for us. The one thing to note about the taxis is that they pretty much only take cash as far as what we saw. So we made sure to bring a decent amount of cash with us. They definitely add up, so it can get a little expensive, but you don't have to worry about driving on the wrong side of the road. You don't have to worry about parking. Did not look like there was a whole lot of parking anywhere that we went. And it just saves you the headache of having to deal with a car. So I recommend just using taxis and just going around like that. You learn a lot from the different taxi drivers. They're pretty entertaining and the roads are wild. Another reason not to rent a car. The roads are like this narrow, barely like big enough for two cars to fit through in some places, and definitely go up and down. Like they call it Mother Nature's roller coaster. So yeah, I mean, rent a car at your own risk, but it's so much easier if you just take a taxi. I also have no idea how we would have found the places to go if we were just relying on Google Maps. Like I don't know how Google Maps would do if we were just trying to use that to get around places. So I say scrap the rental car, get a taxi, and just get around the island that way. It was the easiest thing for us to do. And I think that's pretty much everything about our whole trip. I tried to recap it in somewhat of a short, concise manner. I could probably talk about this for hours on end and how amazing it was. It was just so nice to get out of the States, out of town for a weekend, see the beach, see some gorgeous blue water and some beautiful beaches, and just spend some time with RJ by ourselves. So I highly recommend St. Thomas. I thought it was such a fun time and such a nice trip. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. Would be happy to answer them. Drop them in the comments below. Happy to provide any links to the different restaurants or resorts that we stayed at, and happy to help you guys have a beautiful vacation in a tropical island if I can. So hope this helps. And typically my videos are talking about fitness, health and wellness, nutrition, beauty, fashion. So if you're into any of those topics, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I also like to throw in a couple of my boyfriend adventures with RJ and some of the fun things that we do together. So that was what this video is all about, and I hope it helps anyone who is looking to travel to St. Thomas or the US Virgin Islands. I highly recommend, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching.